Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since 96. Thank you very much for joining me here for another video. Before we start, if I could ask you all to please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and click that bell notification to make sure you are notified every time we release a video. We're on a roll, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is the 5th video in a row. 5 days straight we've been going strong, and I really appreciate all the kind messages, all the support that I've been getting. It truly has been humbling. Today we're talking about the match day build-up. We're not talking about the match day build-up, we're talking about the game today, and the video itself is a match day build-up. So we're building up to the hype. The hype is now being created. It's been being created. That makes no sense. It's been created from the last 24 hours, I'd say, and it feels good to finally be here. There is always a buzz. There is always a nice sort of atmosphere whenever Arsenal's on a winning run and match day comes around. So really happy that it's finally here. FA Cup, there's always something special about the cup. There's always this separate sort of environment, a little bit more, I'd say, light. There's less strain, especially on the earlier stages than, say, the Premier League or the Europa League. It's more fun. There's something to look forward to during the FA Cup run. I feel like if you're in the 5th round, say 4th round, 5th round, it's more fun. The 3rd round, because you're more likely to play a smaller team. In our case, we got drawn to Newcastle, so in comparison to all the other teams in the FA Cup at the minute, Newcastle aren't as small, but it's symbolic. It's symbolically more enjoyable because you see more of the kids, you see more of the players that don't usually get to appear, say in the Premier League games during the majority of the season. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through how I think we should start, the players who should start, the style of football that we should be playing, and also looking into a bit of both, the form of both teams going into this game, who's going to be confident and who's not, and ultimately how that's going to affect the way that both teams play. We'll start off with the team lineup. Again, there is no real injuries to talk about because I think for the first time, all of our players are fit, not match fit, but they are sort of not injured, or they're getting back into their 100% match fitness before they can actually start playing games. And so I do expect a very not reserved, but I'd like to think that Arsenal will play a completely different side than they did against West Brom. But at the same time, this here today is a very important game to in a few number of aspects, because we need to continue the winning run in order to push for the confidence boundaries to hit sky high limit, so that when we go to Crystal Palace we're on top form. But also it will be pivotal for the development of these young players as well. So I'm in two minds here. I don't know whether I'll play some of the youngsters in this game or rest them for the game at Crystal Palace. Equally, I think it will be crucial, it will be significant and beneficial for them to play in this sort of game against another opposition who are low on confidence, haven't won in 6 games, go into this game as second favourites. And unless they have their best players, I'm talking about St. Maximum, I'm talking about Callum Wilson, Joe Linton to some extent, Ryan Fraser, etc. I don't see them posing much of a threat. So I haven't thought about it up until now, which will make this video a little bit more interesting. So in goal, and it really should be an easy option to pick who our goalkeeper should be, but because of the way that Runarsson has started his career at Arsenal, it makes it more difficult because he has had quite a mare in his last few performances, and so it's difficult to pick who should be in goal. Ultimately, I think it will be Runarsson because we don't have any other option. If we play Leno and Leno gets injured, but you could say that about every game. But I think traditionally it has always been the second keeper who plays the cup games. So I think Arteta will go for Runarsson. This is an opportunity for him to ultimately redeem himself from the performance that he had before. So it will be a very, very tense game for him. He will need to be perfect. There needs to be a 10 out of 10 performance. He needs to get a clean sheet today if he wants to sort of come back onto that road of redemption. So I should start with the formation, actually. I do see us playing maybe a 4 at the back, a similar formation to what we did against West Brom. Against someone like Newcastle, you don't really need to worry about their attacking threat or how much they're going to be dominating on the ball. So I think a 4-2-3-1 is the formation that Arteta will go for. It's the formation that I would go for. And playing at the back, I would have Ainsley Maitland-Niles on the right, give him as much game time as possible, a great bright talent, someone who is pushing for first team football. If Bellerin goes, he will most likely slip into that right wing role or right back role. I think he's more preferred in a right wing back role, isn't he, than a right back role. But I think a right back role would do him good, especially the kind of role that Bellerin plays, bombing up and down. But it'll be good to see Ainsley Maitland-Niles on the right. Playing centre-back with him, I don't think Gabriel will start. I think it is still quite early on to get him back. I know he's just come back from the COVID, come back from COVID, and I think we should rest him for the Palace game, which will be a crucial game. But we come into this game in a little bit of an advantage with our centre backs, which is something we're not used to saying. We've got 3 centre backs that have been performing really well. Gabriel has been doing instrumentally amazingly well during the whole course of the season, and then you've got Holding who has had averagely good performances. Again, nothing stand out, but he has been solid at the back in the last 3 to 4 games. In fact, he's done pretty well this season. Again, I'm not convinced of him as of yet. I think we'll have to wait until the end of the season before I can give a real prediction of what kind of player I think he will turn out to be in the years to come. But Holding has been good. Mari has recently come out of his shell and has shown that he can be a reliable centre-back as well. So we've got 3 good centre-backs here. But ultimately, I do see those that haven't been starting to start. I do see Arteta playing Mustafi, although I wouldn't play him because he's leaving, so there's no need to push someone and to give someone minutes who doesn't really need it, because we're not going to be using this guy in the near future. So there's no point when you could, for instance, push someone on like Callum Chambers, and that's someone who I really, really hope we see at the centre back. I really hope Callum Chambers starts, or he has to at least be on the bench, but I would love for him to start. I think he has been robbed of minutes, unfortunately, due to injury. It's not been his fault. However, the consequences of being injured has seen him miss out on a large portion of this season, but I think there is a player in there. I think the times that he has played for us, he's been great. He's been performing really, really well. He's been solid. He's looked reliable, and he's looked like someone who is on the up. So I would like to see Callum Chambers, and probably alongside Mari. I'd like to see that. Or Holding, because ultimately I would like to see a defensive partnership of Mari and Gabriel. I think both of those players would complement each other really, really well. Both sort of have Brazilian links, with Mari playing in the Brazilian league. And I think relationships are important, especially in the centre-back. You need to be able to know what each other is doing at all times. You need to be able to read each other's games. So Gabriel and Mari, I'd like to see start against Palace, and Holding and Chambers, I'd like to see start today. And again, both two English centre backs, good friends as well. So that's always a plus. And on the left, obviously, we'd have Cedric because Tierney is the other option. I don't really want to see Tierney waste his minutes against Newcastle when he can use all of his energy and do what he does best against Palace. So that's my back four. I'd then go for a centre mid pairing of Elneny and Willock. Now, a lot of people are saying, or it's sort of well known that Willock's preferred position is an attacking midfield, but I do personally see, the way that I've been seeing him play, I do personally see Willock as someone who is better suited to a central midfield position. For someone who doesn't really know where he should play because he's sort of all over the place, I see Willock as a squad player. I see his strengths as he's sort of more suited to a kind of Danny Ceballos / Xhaka role in the sense that he's good at picking the ball up, he's good at passing the ball forwards, he's good at chasing the ball, he's got bundles of energy, which is good, but he needs to finalize where he actually plays, because the position he plays will differ from the kind of roles that he has on the pitch. And right now he's sort of running around like a headless chicken. So I'd like to see him, Willock, play in the middle with, who did I just say? Wow, I completely forgot. Willock playing alongside Elneny. Yes. Also Ceballos. But I think you need someone who's a little bit more defensive minded to sit in front of the defense when we're off the ball and on the ball as well, actually. And you need someone who can progress the ball forward. So those are my two central midfield players that I would like to play. I'm going to go with a bold attacking midfield selection here. And I'm going to say I'd like to see Emile Smith-Rowe play today. And the reason why I want to see him play today is because he is on the up. His confidence is high right now, and you want to take advantage of that, and you want to exploit him as much as possible because he's a fresh fish in the sea. He's ready to make that step up. Now, previously, he's also been at the similar stage where he's shown sparks of being ready to push for the first team, but unfortunately, injury has been something which has stopped him. So I think we need to be cautious. I would like to see Emile Smith-Rowe play maybe the first half or the first 60 minutes and then come off for someone, say Ceballos. But I definitely do want to see him appear and do what he does best, because if we don't have someone there in the attacking midfield role, someone with energy, someone who can run, we're not going to see Arsenal create many opportunities and play the fluid football that we were playing against West Brom. It's going to be very slow, very lethargic otherwise. And obviously with our wingers and our striker, if we're not playing the likes of Saka, Martinelli, which I intend on playing Martinelli, but definitely not Saka, then, you know, we are in a little bit of trouble. So yes, Emile Smith-Rowe in the attacking midfield role. And then my wingers, I would have left wing, Martinelli. He hasn't appeared in the last few games, so definitely deserves some game time, especially going into this game where you want someone to feed off poor opponents. You want them to exploit them. I think this will be a great game for him to increase on his momentum and his confidence. I think he could pose a massive threat to a really fragile looking Newcastle defence as well. They're all over the place at the back, really shambolic, especially with the COVID situation as well. You got to feel for them because, you know, most of their key defenders have been out. Most of their key players have been out. So that's why they've resorted to making so many changes and have performed the way they have. So in that situation, we want Martinelli to start. We want on the right, I would like to see, it's a tricky one because I definitely want to rest Saka. I don't want to see Saka on the team sheet. And there are two players that I think really need. In fact, there are three players that need game time here, and that's with four players actually: Balogun, Nketiah, Nelson, and Pepe. So, if I'm looking at who I want to see play this game, FA Cup third round, someone who might not get minutes for the rest of the season, I'm hoping that Nelson is over his little niggle. If he is, then I'd like to see him start. But I don't know whether I haven't had any update on any injury news in terms of Nelson. So I think maybe it might be a good time. I'm going to be quite bold and experimental here, and I'm going to say that we should perhaps put Balogun on the right hand side, because his role and the way that he plays in comparison to Nketiah is like two different completely sets of players. I see Balogun more play in the style of Aubameyang, where he's really good at running off the ball into space. He's also great with running with the ball as well. He shows real initiative to make space for himself, to be a danger. And whereas Nketiah, on the other hand, he's more of a poacher. He's good getting into space as well, but ultimately on the ball, he's not that great. So maybe I would play Nketiah up front and Balogun on the right. This is me being a little bit bold and experimental, and this is me giving both players a fair shot as well. Especially with the contract situation of Balogun, I think he has to start. If he doesn't start, then this is gonna be like a statement from Arsenal saying, like, you know, off you go, you can go, basically. As much as Arteta has said, you know, we want to keep him, he's got a future here. This is your shot. This is your opportunity to prove it now. Actions speak louder than words. So you need to play Balogun. And you're either going to play him up front, or in my case, I'd play him on the right. And if you do play him up front, then I see Pepe starting and Nketiah on the bench. So, you know, this will be a completely different Arsenal team. I do see us playing a similar style of football that we did against West Brom. It should be high press, high intensity always, but with the groups of players that we've got on the pitch today, it might be a little bit different. It might be a little bit more slow, a little bit more sluggish. We might need to build up the plays slowly, especially with players who haven't had much game time. But there are a bunch of players on that pitch, or there will be a bunch of players on that pitch with huge amounts of talent. So all you need with that is a little bit of confidence, and then, you know, boom, we'll be able to see the full force of our B team today. So that's how I see us playing out. I do see Newcastle playing on the back foot. I do see them playing with 11 men behind the ball, try to play on the counter-attack. I'll be very, very surprised if they do come out of their show and they do start to try and, you know, play football and attack us, be aggressors. That's very much what I expect from Arsenal. And, you know, but we could be very, very wrong, because we've seen what Arsenal are like with oppositions where they're supposed to be the favourites. They do end up being a little bit a bit complacent, especially, and I think it's always dangerous going into a game where you know you are favourites, and I think Newcastle will come into this game obviously as underdogs, but they will be more dangerous being underdogs, because we're expected to win this game. And we play them in 2 weeks' time, or a week's time. After Crystal Palace, we have them again in the league. So this will be a very, very interesting game. Of course, we know that, or we would expect a completely different side to play them in the league. But again, this will be a very good sort of test to see how they play, suss their game plan out a little bit. And again, I do see them playing their strong, you know, a relatively strong side, because Brucey would want to go for a cup front. Okay, I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope we get an Arsenal victory today. I hope we get a convincing Arsenal victory today. If we don't get a convincing Arsenal victory today, it'll make me really nervous going into the Palace game. And if we get a loss, then we're out the FA Cup and we have to focus on the league and the Europa League. That's it, really. Yeah, I'm excited for the game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing some brand new names, not brand new names, but names that we don't usually see on the team sheets. And hopefully we get a very strong results. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, if you haven't done so, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification to be notified every time I release a video. I'll see you tomorrow for a post-match reaction, and until then, stay safe, stay indoors, and enjoy the game. Thank you very much.